We've learned in this struggle against the trans reaction against feminism that we're up against structures that have the power to control language, our very means of communication. We've learned even more about this after many decades. We're up against owners, the controllers, owners, because that's who the controllers are, the owners of the means of mass communication. How very strong, they're very strong and can get crazy nasty. This trans thing seems crazy nasty. But all along in this struggle, we've been learning that we have less power than we think, but also more than we know. In those movements where we've been able to unite, we've learned we have tremendous power at times, especially if we can keep our unity a little more durable than we have. Radical, what does it really mean? And I don't just mean that it comes from the Latin word for root and means getting to the root. That's important. No, so few people know that, and it's been said already, I think, in our movement. Feminist, the word feminist and feminism also happened in the world labor movement, that there came to be a zillion socialisms. Even the Communist Manifesto talks about that. It has a whole list in it of the different kinds of socialisms. And even then, and in the preface to the Communist Manifesto, Engels explains why they used the word communist and not socialist when there were all these other socialisms around. And if you read it, don't believe me, but if you read it, you'll see that it was basically defined as we communists. It wasn't about violence. It wasn't about the overthrow of the government. It was really about, similar to our independent women's liberation movement. He says, unlike so many of the socialists that look to the upper class to help the workers, and that was their struggle, and that was their strategy, we believe that the working class can only be emancipated, and that's what socialism meant, the emancipation of the working class. It wasn't some ideal form out there. It was the workers have to learn themselves by trying how the working class is going to get emancipated. That's right in the introduction, the preface, a later preface for why they called themselves communists instead of these other kinds of socialists. Read the original sources. Really, there's so much bullshit out there. Now, what about the zillion feminisms? And now I thank Brooke Williams, Brooke Williams' definition, who wrote many good articles in the journal Off Our Backs. And I'm proud to say there's a very good article by her in the Red Stockings book, Feminist Revolution. Her definition, I think, of feminism is the best. She says feminism is its history. And there may be many developments, many twists and turns, but feminism and many feminisms. But feminism has only one history. And we can, if we can understand the history, we can see how these different so-called feminisms arose through the history and how one thing differs from the other and why, what the arguments were. This same point applies to the term radical feminism. Radical feminism is its history.